Herzlich willkommen erneut zum Wundersanation. Hier haben wir erneut ein Video über Biodeprogrammation. Diese Dame kam zu mir, weil ich mal in einer bestimmten Gruppe eine Kennenlern-Session verschenkt habe. Und in der Session sagte sie mir,
So I came to Andreas with pain in my hip well over a year and a half.
Und was dann gleichzeitig rauskam, ist, dass sie seit über 9 Monaten nicht mehr arbeiten konnte, weil ihre Hüfte so geschmerzt hat und niemand sagen konnte, woher die Schmerzen kommen. Das Ganze war dann rückgreifend mit ihrer Kindheit und mit Transgenerational verbunden.
We suspected there was an emotional component to it.
Und bestimmten Ereignissen in ihrem Leben, die wir alle deprogrammiert haben.
It took some time, but he was really very persistent.
Natürlich nicht in einer Session, danach haben wir weitergearbeitet.
And there were issues that came up that I could not have imagined were tied to my pain.
Und sie beschreibt uns, inwieweit sich der Schmerz verändert hat und sich das ganze Leben für sie verändert hat. Ich würde sagen, sehen Sie sich das Testimonial selbst an.
Okay. So I came to Andreas with pain in my hip that had been going on for well over a year and a half. And, I have a healthcare background. There was, I'd had tests done. There was nothing medically wrong with me. I suspected there was an emotional component to it, but I hadn't been able to get to it on my own, doing the work that I knew how to do. So I came to Andreas, and it took some time, but he was really very persistent. And there were issues that came up that I could not have imagined were tied to my pain. And they were. And we just chipped away at things little by little. He listened very intently to things that I had to say and was able to see things that I wasn't able to see on my own. Some of the things that he said at first, I wasn't really sure if it was connected to anything, but then when I would sit with it and we would go through the tapping and the energy work, I would notice a difference after. I did notice a difference in the way the pain shifted. And, after our last session, it was the first time in probably a year and a half. I went, I think, 3 days and I had no pain at all, none. And I was questioning if that was even reasonable. I was kind of wondering if I was going to get to a point where I was going to just have to accept that there was always going to be some level of pain. But this stuff works.
Sie können noch 100 Jahre weiter warten und nichts wird passieren. Oder Sie treten in Aktion und buchen eine Sitzung mit mir jetzt. Automatisch werden Sie sehen, wie einfach das Leben positiv verändert werden kann.
This stuff really works, and like I said, he was very patient with me, and they kind of uncovered things that I didn't even know were there, things that I couldn't imagine would have contributed to my pain in any way, shape, or form. And yet, when we worked on them and we would tap on them, pain shifted. So they were connected in some ways. So even though I know this kind of work might seem kind of strange, and you might think, how could any of that have to do with physical pain? There is definitely a connection, and I'm grateful because I definitely feel better after working with him. There were things that did come through from previous generations that I didn't see were connected. There were a lot of anxiety patterns, and I think anger patterns that came through from, and again, this seems kind of strange. I understand if you're not someone who's familiar with that. I found it kind of strange at first too, but it comes through. It does come through, and they actually are doing research where these things are passed on through the genes. So I did find that there were components of the pain that were tied to anxiety that wasn't mine, anger that wasn't mine, that when we actually worked on those issues, as ridiculous as it sounded in a way at the time, I did notice a shift after. So you don't even have to believe it. I mean, I know that's a concern for some people too, is about, oh, I don't believe in any of this stuff. It kind of doesn't matter because there was a shift anyway. I mean, I wasn't real sure about the intergenerational stuff even with the research, but I did notice a difference when we tapped on those things and didn't work on them. Well, what I would say about that is there will be no stone left unturned. So Andreas is thorough, and be prepared to do some work. Like if you're not prepared to really look at those places you didn't want to look at before, then don't waste your time, because that's where you're going to go and that's where you need to go, and just be open to it. He doesn't give up. If there's still a problem, he will still work with you to figure out what the root of the problem is. He's very dedicated, and I think it's well worth your time.
Wenn Ihnen das Video gefallen hat, ein Like wäre sehr schön, das hilft mir. Sie können sich auch subscriben, weil ab 2024 werde ich viel Information hochfahren, wie wir funktionieren. Das heißt, wie die Energie mit dem Körper, mit unseren Gedanken, alles interrelationiert ist. Und falls Sie eine Session möchten, via Zoom oder Skype oder Fernheilung, können Sie auf meine Webpage gehen. Ich bedanke mich für die Zeit, die Sie hier investiert haben, um andere Heilungsmethoden kennenzulernen. Und ich würde sagen, wir sehen uns im nächsten Video.